Welcome back to Soft Step English. I am Nora.
And I am Ethan, with coffee in one hand and sleep still in my eyes.
That is a very honest morning image.
It is. My brain is still opening one window at a time.
Then today's episode is for you, and probably for many of our listeners too. Quick question before we start. In the first 10 minutes of your morning, what do you touch first? Your phone, your tea, your coffee, your bag, or an English book?
Oh, dangerous question.
Very dangerous and very real.
Because a lot of us imagine a perfect morning, quiet room, fresh mind, open book, short audio lesson, a few smart notes, maybe a little writing, and then, boom, we become that calm, disciplined English learner.
Yes, and then real life walks in. The alarm rings too early, sleep still feels heavy, breakfast needs attention, messages arrive. Work pressure enters the room before you even stand up fully.
And English disappears like a very polite guest.
Exactly. So today we are talking about a morning English habit that does not depend on willpower. We will look at why willpower often fails early in the day, how to prepare the habit the night before, how to choose one strong anchor, how to make the start very small, how to protect the habit from your phone, and how to build something that can survive a normal messy weekday.
This episode is around B1 to B2 level, so some parts may sound a little richer, but we will keep the language clear, explain keywords as we go, and slow down in the important parts.
If you miss a few words, stay with the main idea and keep listening. You can always come back later, and you will catch more each time. If this kind of practical English fits your real mornings, you can follow Soft Step English and come back for the next one.
And as you listen, think about your own answer too. What is the first stable thing in your morning? The kettle, the train, the bathroom mirror, the front door, your child's lunchbox?
We really do read your comments, and your answers help shape future episodes. Let's start with the dream. Many learners love the idea of a strong morning routine because morning looks clean in the fan. Imagination. Quiet room, fresh mind, no noise yet, and progress before the day gets busy.
In your head, morning is a movie.
Yes, a very organized movie.
But in real life, that beautiful routine often lasts 3 days, maybe 5 days, and then life says, no, we are doing something else now.
Right. And many people explain that in a moral way. They say, I am not disciplined enough. I am not consistent. I need more motivation.
Which sounds serious, but maybe it is too simple.
I think so. Many learners do care. They do want to improve. The deeper problem is this. They are asking willpower to do a job that design should do.
Let me translate that into simple words. They are trying to push themselves every morning instead of building a morning that helps them do it automatically.
Exactly. Willpower means the mental force you use when you make yourself do something difficult. Design means the setup, the structure, the plan around the habit. If your English habit needs fresh decisions every day, fresh motivation every day, and a small fight with your phone every day, then the habit is fragile.
Fragile means easy to break, like a thin glass cup, or my confidence before I check my inbox.
That is a strong example. And another useful phrase from the article is lower friction. Friction here means small difficulties, small resistance, the tiny things that make an action harder to begin.
So if I wake up and I need to choose a lesson, choose an app, choose a topic, choose how long I will study, that is a lot of friction before breakfast.
Yes, and the article makes a very important point. A habit that survives usually does not begin with high energy. It begins with lower friction. It is prepared in advance, attached to a stable cue, small enough to begin without debate, and simple enough to repeat on an ordinary weekday.
I like that phrase, ordinary weekday. Not vacation life, not Sunday fantasy life, real Tuesday life.
That is the standard. The strongest habit is often the one that asks the least from your feelings.
Which sounds almost backwards because people think small means weak.
But small is not weak. Small can be smart. The article says 6 or 8 reliable minutes every morning can beat a perfect 30-minute plan that happens only twice a week.
Because morning learning is not a performance.
Exactly. It is a system. And when the system is built well, willpower becomes a backup tool. not the engine.
Backup tool. I love that. So not the main driver, just the emergency helper.
Yes. Now let's talk about why willpower fails so early in the day. People often say, mornings are easier than evenings. And sometimes that is true, but morning has its own problems.
For example, you can be physically awake and mentally still, half inside a dream.
Yes, the first minutes after waking are full of transitions. Transition means moving from one state to another. Your body is leaving sleep. Your mind is remembering responsibilities. Small tasks arrive quickly. Drink water. Go to the bathroom. Make coffee. Wake the children. Check the weather. Find clean clothes. Think about the commute.
Before the day really begins, your attention is already divided.
And divided attention is a bad place to build a choice-heavy habit. Willpower is useful in short emergency moments, but it is not a strong everyday structure.
Especially when the first question is, what should I study today?
Yes, that question is already one barrier. Then maybe the next question is, which app should I use? Another barrier. Then, do I have enough time? Another barrier.
By that point, my brain says, honestly, maybe we should just stare at the wall.
Or open the phone and disappear into it.
That also happens.
The article gives a great example of an office worker. Monday, she listens to a podcast. Tuesday, she tries a vocabulary app. Wednesday, she searches for a grammar video. Thursday, she reads half an article and stops. Every morning, she spends time deciding what counts as study.
And those are hidden costs. Small, but real.
Exactly. Hidden resistance. English becomes a task that must be organized before it can be done. Busy people usually abandon tasks like that.
The article also says something I really felt. When people make the habit too ambitious, the brain sees a hill before breakfast and quietly steps away.
Yes, that line is so good. What looks like laziness is often self-protection. Self-protection means the mind is trying to protect itself from something that feels too expensive or too heavy in that moment.
So if your plan is review 10 words, read 2 pages, listen carefully, speak for 5 minutes, and maybe write notes, your brain says, no thank you. I would like toast and silence.
Exactly. Which leads to one hard truth from the article. The morning version of you is not the best person to negotiate with.
I want that on a t-shirt.
Morning, you should not be asked to plan, design, and motivate the whole session. Morning, you should only be asked to continue something that has already been made easy.
That changes everything.
It does, because now the habit really starts the night before.
This part is so practical. Most people think a morning habit begins when the alarm rings, but the article says, no, the real start is earlier.
Yes, it begins the night before when you decide what tomorrow morning will look like. If nothing is prepared, the morning will fill itself with other things. If the English material is ready, visible, and limited, the habit has a place to land.
Place to land. Nice phrase.
And the preparation does not need to be complicated. One short audio file already open. One book on the table, page already marked. Headphones beside the kettle. A small note that says, listen once. Read aloud once. Repeat one useful sentence.
That kind of setup removes decisions.
Exactly. Every removed decision saves energy. When you wake up to a prepared scene, you do not have to create a study session. The session is already waiting.
And I noticed another key idea here. The session can be very small, and that is not a problem. It is powerful because it is ready.
Yes. No search, no comparison, no debate about the best resource. English is simply the next action in the space.
The article gives an example of a university student who always plans to study English before class but usually scrolls on her phone instead.
Right. If the phone is the first object she touches, then the stronger habit wins. But if a short printed text is on the breakfast table and her earphones are beside it, the room sends a different message.
The point is not to fight harder. The point is to let the room help.
Exactly. And there is another warning here. Preparation should stay narrow. Some learners prepare too much. They open 6 tabs, choose 3 videos, make a long list of options.
That is not preparation. That is a buffet.
And a buffet creates more friction, not less. A helpful evening setup offers one path, not many paths.
because too much freedom can become confusion.
Yes, especially when the habit is still young. Now let's move to one of the most useful ideas in the whole article, the anchor.
I love this one because it sounds solid.
It is. Many people say, I will study English in the morning when I have time. But morning time is not one clear block. It is often a collection of little actions and interruptions. So if the habit is waiting for a free moment, it may wait forever.
That is painfully true.
A strong habit needs an anchor. An anchor is one stable event that already happens every day. It is not the study itself. It is the moment that tells your brain what comes next.
Like turning on the kettle, sitting at the kitchen table, hearing the train doors close, putting on your shoes, closing the lunch boxes.
Exactly. And the best anchor is not the most beautiful moment, it is the most dependable one. Dependable means reliable, something you can trust to happen again.
So not your fantasy anchor, your real anchor.
Yes, some learners choose an ideal anchor instead of a real one. They say, I will study at 6:30 every morning, but their wake-up time is not stable. Or they say, I will study after meditation, but they do not meditate on hard weekdays.
The anchor has to survive messy life.
Exactly. That is why the article says clock time is often less useful than physical action. A clock can change. A sequence is more concrete. After I brush my teeth, I listen to one English clip. After I sit down with tea, I read one paragraph aloud. After I put on my shoes, I repeat 3 sentences while walking to the elevator.
The body carries the pattern. I really like that idea. Your body remembers what comes next.
Yes, and that helps the habit feel more automatic. Next, the article says something that many learners need to hear. Make the entry so small that you begin.
Not so small that you laugh at it, but almost.
Yes, many learners think a meaningful habit must look impressive from the start. So they build an opening that needs too much time, too much attention, or too much emotional energy.
And then they do not begin, and then they feel guilty, and then the whole thing gets heavier.
Exactly. A good morning entry can be finished in 2 or 3 minutes. One short audio clip, one paragraph read aloud, 2 spoken sentences about the day ahead, yesterday's 3 phrases while the water boils.
I love that line from the article. The goal is not to complete all English study before breakfast. The goal is to cross the line from zero to contact.
Yes, 0 to contact, that is the real win. And this small opening separates starting from continuing. Starting is the hardest part. Continuing is often easier.
So if I plan to read one paragraph and then naturally read 3, great. If I only read one, still great. The habit happened.
Exactly, and this is very important. A low-friction habit must be allowed to stay small on tired days.
That sentence removes a lot of pressure.
It does. The article even gives an example of a man building a routine before his bus ride. In the past, he tried 20 minutes at the table and skipped most mornings. A smaller version worked better. He put one short audio on his phone the night before. After he put on his shoes, he listened once. While waiting for the elevator, he repeated one line. On the bus, if his mind was clear, he listened again and read the transcript.
And if not, the habit still counted.
Exactly. That is how consistency grows. From a version of the task that can survive a normal weekday. The next idea is also big. Use a closed routine, not endless choices.
Morning is not shopping time.
No, it is not. Another reason habits fail is that learners treat each day as a new project. They search for fresh materials, chase novelty, and rebuild the session again and again.
Novelty means newness, that exciting feeling of something new.
Right, and new things can feel fun, but they also create mental clutter. Clutter means too many things in the space, too many things in the mind.
So what helps more?
A closed routine. That means the same short sequence on most mornings. The content can change slowly, but the structure stays familiar. For example, listen once, read aloud once, note one useful phrase, or read one paragraph, say the main idea in simple English, and carry one sentence into the day.
Same shape, slowly changing content.
Exactly. Repetition inside a stable frame reduces decisions and it deepens learning. The brain gets quicker, phrases are easier to notice, Pronunciation feels less awkward. English stops feeling like a special event and starts feeling like part of the day.
The article even gives a weekly rhythm. Monday and Tuesday, same short text. Wednesday, summarize it in simple words. Thursday, use two expressions in new sentences. Friday, review the strongest phrases.
Yes, that is a beautiful example of connected practice, not random practice.
And for B1 to B2 learners, that matters a lot, right?
Very much. Learners at this level often know a lot of English passively. Passively means they can understand it when they see or hear it, but they do not always use it actively. A stable morning format gives repeated contact until useful language becomes active. Then the article moves into something I really agree with. Put English inside real morning life.
This section made me feel relieved because it says study does not only count at a desk.
Yes, busy mornings have movement, and that movement can carry language practice. A sleepy brain may not want deep grammar analysis, but it can still repeat a sentence, describe a plan, or notice a useful phrase.
English does not always need a perfect study mood. It needs a place inside life.
Exactly, a learner making breakfast can describe simple actions in English. A commuter walking to the station can repeat one practical sentence. A person getting dressed can name the first tasks of the day. Someone preparing for work can read a short paragraph aloud while standing.
And the language becomes very real. I need to leave in 10 minutes. I packed my bag last night. I am behind today. I want to start calmly.
Those are great examples from the article's spirit. Useful language is easier to remember because it belongs somewhere. It can be used later the same day.
So English feels less like homework and more like daily thinking.
Yes, homework depends on effort. Daily thinking depends on repetition and context. And if the goal is a habit that stays, context usually wins. Now we have to talk about the phone.
Ah, yes, the small glowing habit thief.
For many people, the plan falls apart there. They pick up the phone to check the time or open an English app, and a few minutes later they are deep in messages, news, short videos, or work alerts.
Quiet morning space, gone.
And the article makes another important point here. This is not only a problem of self-control, it is a problem of environment. One habit is entering a space that is already designed to hold attention.
So the new English habit is the weaker habit, at least at first.
Usually, yes. Which is why successful learners do not just promise, I will not get distracted. They create a setup that makes distraction less likely.
Like downloading one audio clip and keeping the phone offline for the first few minutes.
Yes. Or placing a book where the phone usually goes. Or moving social apps off the first screen. Or using a clear rule, no messages until the English starter is done.
First clip, then messages. I like that because it is simple.
The article gives the example of a woman who wants to practice English for 5 minutes every morning. Her lesson is inside the same phone that also has work mail, family messages, and entertainment. Every day she plans to open the lesson first, but 12 minutes disappear.
Which feels small in the moment, but it kills the habit.
Exactly. The answer is often not stronger discipline. The answer is a different sequence and a better setup before sleep. The article also gives several common failure patterns, and I think these are very important because they sound normal. First, many learners believe a good habit must feel fresh every day.
But strong habits are often a little boring.
Yes, and that is not weakness. It is a sign that the task is becoming normal. Another pattern is expanding too fast after one successful week.
The famous 5-minute plan becomes 15 minutes, then 25, then notes, then review, then color-coded ambition.
Exactly, for a few days it feels productive. Then one busy morning breaks the rhythm and the whole structure becomes difficult again.
So growth is good, but only after the basic habit is safe.
Very well said. Another misunderstanding is about missed days. Some learners think one missed morning means the habit is failing, so they feel guilty and avoid restarting.
But the article says a strong system does not require perfection. It requires return.
Yes, return is the key word there. If Tuesday is lost because your child is sick or your train is delayed, Wednesday should begin with the same small routine, not with a punishment plan.
No guilt project, just return.
Exactly. Another misunderstanding is measuring success only by minutes. A 4-minute routine that happens 20 times in a month can be more powerful than 2 long, impressive sessions.
Because what changes language over time is repeated contact, not the emotional drama of one excellent day.
Beautifully said. And finally, no willpower does not mean no effort. You still have to show up. The difference is that the effort moves to a better place.
Less effort on fresh motivation every morning, more effort on smart design.
Exactly. The article ends with a very realistic week, and I think this is a perfect way to see the whole idea. Monday, maybe you have 8 quiet minutes and do the full short routine. Tuesday, the morning is rushed, so only the 2-minute starter happens.
Wednesday, you are sleepy, but the page is already open on the table, so you still read one paragraph aloud.
Thursday, breakfast takes longer than expected, so the habit moves to the commute.
Friday, one phrase from the week appears naturally in a work email or in your thoughts.
That kind of week may not look impressive from the outside, but it is exactly how durable habits are built. Durable means able to last for a long time.
The routine bends without breaking.
Yes, it changes shape when needed but keeps the same identity. English still appears in the first part of the day.
And after several weeks, the benefits become clearer. You waste less energy deciding how to begin. Morning English feels familiar. Useful phrases become active. Listening feels closer. Speaking aloud feels less strange.
Most importantly, the habit no longer depends on waiting for the right mood. It respects real mornings.
That line should stay with all of us. Respect real mornings.
So if we pull the full message together, a better morning English habit usually means preparing the night before, choosing one stable anchor, keeping the entry small, using a familiar routine, linking English to ordinary actions, and protecting the first minutes from digital noise.
None of those steps is dramatic.
And that is exactly the point. Quiet systems often change life more than dramatic plans.
Which brings us to one of our favorite parts.
Yes, it is time for the word tour.
Slow down with us here.
In our word tour, we revisit expressions from today's episode. Say them with us. Take your time and let them become part of your own English. First expression, willpower.
Willpower.
Say it with us, willpower.
One more time. Willpower.
It means the mental force you use to make yourself do something difficult. Example, I used willpower to start working before I felt ready.
Good. Next, lower friction.
Lower friction,
Repeat after us. Lower friction.
slowly lower friction.
It means fewer small barriers, less resistance, an easier start. Example, preparing my audio the night before gave my habit lower friction.
Next, fragile.
Fragile.
Say it with us, fragile.
It means easy to break, not strong yet. Example, my routine was fragile because it needed motivation every morning.
Next expression, prepared scene.
Prepared scene.
Repeat after us, prepared scene.
This means the space is already set up for the action. Example, the book on the table and the headphones by the kettle created a prepared scene.
Next, anchor.
Anchor.
One more time, anchor.
In this episode, an anchor is a stable event that tells your brain what comes next. Example, after I brush my teeth is my English anchor.
Next word, dependable.
Dependable.
Slowly, dependable.
It means reliable, something you can trust. Example, the train ride is a dependable part of my weekday.
Next expression, closed routine.
Closed routine.
Say it with us, closed routine.
It means a familiar sequence with very few choices. Example, I listen once, read aloud once, and note one phrase. That is my closed routine.
Next, repeated contact.
Repeated contact.
Repeat after us, repeated contact.
This means meeting the language again and again over time. Example, repeated contact of the same useful phrases help them become active.
Next expression, self-protection.
Self-protection.
Take your time. Self-protection.
It means your mind tries to avoid something that feels too heavy. Example, skipping a huge morning plan was not only laziness, it was partly self-protection.
And one more, digital noise.
Digital noise.
Say it with us, digital noise.
It means messages, alerts, videos, and online distractions that fill your attention. Example, I protect my first 5 minutes from digital noise.
Very good. And if one or two of those expressions still feel new, that is completely fine. Come back and say them again tomorrow.
That is the nice thing about a word tour. No pressure, just repeated contact.
Before we go, here is your small homework. Tonight, prepare one 2-minute English starter for tomorrow morning and choose one real anchor. Not an ideal anchor, a real one.
Maybe after I turn on the kettle. Maybe after I put on my shoes. Maybe when the train doors close. Keep it simple.
Before you go, tell us in the comments what your real anchor will be tomorrow morning.
And if you want, add your one tiny starter too. We really do love reading those small, honest plans.
If this episode helped you, you can follow Soft Step English and come back for the next one.
And if one tired friend came to mind while you were listening, send this episode to them too.
Thank you for spending this time with us and for learning English step by step.
We are glad you were here.
I am Nora.
And I am Ethan.
We will see you next time on Soft Step English.
Keep going. Your English does not need a perfect morning, it just needs a real next step.